have no problem with answering all your questions. So those who stay till the end of this webinar, which is trying to keep it about 45 minutes, we have a very special discount plus some additional software as a quick action bonus. So why are you here? Well, from the poll, most of you aren't as consistent as you want to be, but you're not getting the results. You're here because you're not getting the results you want yet. You're not here to waste time, and neither am I. And you're not here to waste money. And you're sick of buyer's remorse. So what do I mean by that? Well, traders seem to buy a system, trade with it for a few weeks or a month. They have some initial success, and they just can't make it work after that. Right? And I ask that all the time. Why do you do this? I said, and the thing is that, and I'm going to tell everybody right from the very get-go, you must pick a system. This is what I had to do because I was in the realm of buyer's remorse for many years. And you have to pick a system, and you have to trade that system, and you have to be 110% committed to that system so that you have positive expectations. Okay? So people say, well, show me a solution then. Well, you want to hit constant winning trades. You want a solid performance that repeats daily. And here, the markets are here for us to extract money from it every day. Do we extract money from it every day? No. But at the end of the month, we extract enough money from it that it makes it worthwhile to trade. All right. So the 4 things you need to create trading success are: the first thing is software to provide you with a competitive edge over all other traders. The second thing is that edge must track the direction of money flow, institutional money flow. The third thing is etched in stone rules to follow, and this will eliminate discretion. Most people, if you have a rules-based system, it keeps you out of trouble. All right. And the fourth thing, which I believe is the most important thing, is patience. Patience to let the trade set up. So I'm going to break down the system in detail to you, right? But let me show you a few trades that we've taken. Here's a trade, options trade on AMC for 139% using the money flow tracker signals. Here's another one on GME. Now these are longer term. Here's a trade on 30-year bonds. Now I had to close this trade by the end of the day because I trade with prop firm. Okay, but if I would have held it, this trade would have been double that probably. Right? Here's another one on the euro. I can sit here and show you trade after trade after trade, but really, that's not going to help you. And I'm here to help you. So it's likely you have a problem making money. And from the poll, most of you probably are in the same boat that most people are. Why? Because you don't have the proper tools to manage your trades efficiently. You overtrade. This is the big one here. You overtrade, you make impulsive decisions, you revenge trade. The worst thing in the world for you to do is revenge trade. Why? It doesn't work. Believe me, been there, done that, didn't even get a t-shirt. All right. You lack consistency. You trade with indicators that lag price. You lack a mathematical proven trade methodology. And all these things lead to blowing up trading accounts. So my commitment to you for attending this webinar is to bring this to an end. So why do 95 to 98% of traders using the following go broke? Like price action, MACD, L8 wave, divergence, GAN, Fibonacci price patterns. None of these have any future predictive properties. And I'm not saying that the money flow tracker software can predict the future. First of all, that's impossible to predict the future. Second of all, it wouldn't be true. You can't predict the future. But with the money flow tracker software, you get very high probability setups, but you must be patient. And patience is the key to trading. Don't take your hand off the mouse. I tell my traders in the room, look, the markets are super choppy this morning. There are no trends going on. I call it armpit your thumbs. Take your thumbs and stick them in your armpits and cross your arms. And take your hand off the mouse. And just wait and watch. Okay, so let's keep going. So Mark Sachs had over 35 plus years in the study of field of applied mathematics. He was a professor at Jefferson University, and it took him 8 long years to engineer the software system and trade methodology that can improve your trade performance, called the Money Flow Tracker. And we have over 500 traders between our 3 trade rooms that we trade shoulder to shoulder every day. But before we get started, I would like to share my trade journal. Now, I've been trading with the Money Flow Tracker software for 4.5 years. I use this program to track my trades. So every day I do a trade performance in NinjaTrader, and I go to the trades tab in the trades performance, and I download all my trades into an Excel sheet. And then every day I click on this button and I click here. So this was oh, that's the wrong folder. Here we go. Here's today's, the 14th and the 15th. And it imports all my trades into this program. And here's the trade ID from NinjaTrader, the entry date and time, the market, what it was, and everything. And it keeps track of all my trades. So if I go to my home screen here, you can see that I'm at a 76.65 win rate with a profit factor of 2.58, which means for every dollar I'm risking, I'm making $2.58. And you can see, this is October, this is this month. We've been doing pretty well this month so far, and we're only halfway through the month. But you can see trades, no trade days. Last Thursday, the 2nd, the 9th, the 10th. Why? Why do I have no trade days? Look in September, lots of no trade days, right? Because the markets were super choppy and just range bound and weren't trending. And, I've had so many people that come into the room and they say to me, she goes, I make money one day and I lose money the next day and I lose money the following day and I make money the other day. And at the end of the week, I'm either down a little bit, up a little bit, or pretty much at break even. And I work the whole week for nothing, right? Well, the Money Flow Tracker software will keep you out of non-trending, choppy, low volume markets. And how does it do that? Well, it doesn't give you setups. So if I go here to my reports tab and I click on my monthly reports, you can see here we had a really slow August. September was okay. This month's really good so far. We're only halfway through the month. The markets have been really tough this year. A lot of chop, a lot of low volume. They've been super tough this year. If I show you what we did last year really quick, look what we did last year. We had January was slow, February was slow, March 11,000, April 6,200, May 9,800, 19,000, 13, 12. We had a great summer last year. This summer has been really tough to trade. You can see June we did 10,000, July we did 7,300, and August we did 45. And this is just trading 2 contracts. I could double these numbers by increasing my contract size, but I don't, because I want to keep my my data, consistent. If I go, let's say today I'm trading 4 contracts, tomorrow I'm trading 2 contracts, it's not going to give me a good the data that I need to really understand what I am doing. So this is my equity curve for this year. Not bad. You had a few little dips, but not much, straight up. So I wanted to share this with you. This is what I do every day, and this is how I keep track of my performance. And I wanted to be transparent with everybody. I have about 12 accounts, okay? But my data is only on my live accounts. Okay, Michael, and I do use a trade copier. But I use my trade copier when the markets are trending. When they're not trending, I don't trade as many accounts. I don't risk. Okay, so let's keep going. The markets consist of many small retail traders, like represented by these marbles, plus one or more large institutional trader represented by the big purple ball. So let me ask you a question. If you already know that most retail traders lose money, why would you want to trade along with them? All right, I don't. I don't want to trade with retail traders. So when institutional traders aren't trading, neither am I. So the money flow tracker software has three key metrics that determine money flow. The first one is triple screen assessment of correlative markets using our AI program. The second one is triple screen assessment of order flow. And the third one is triple screen assessment of the LIQUIDITY for momentum. So what do I mean by triple screen assessment? Well, you know what? I don't like those big long words. I find that when I teach people, and I've taught thousands of traders, to keep terminology real simple and keep it super simple. You know, the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, basically means 3 time frames in agreement. Your higher time frame, your mid time frame, and your trading time frame. That's what triple screen analysis means. So the first powerful force that moves price is triple screen assessment of order flow. So I know a lot of you are thinking, oh no, not these order flow candles with all these numbers on the right, on the left, on the bottom, on the outside right, on the top. You know, you cannot make sense of all this nonsense. Your brain doesn't have the capacity to make sense of all these numbers and be able to make good trading decisions, especially when the markets are moving quickly. So here at Rightline, we came up with our own order flow candles. So our order flow candles are showing us if we have a green outline candle, means that the delta of the candle is positive, and a red outline candle means the delta of the candle is negative. So this is the way I look at it while I'm trading. If I have green outline candles and I'm long, I'm happy. As long as they're green outline candles, I have more buyers than sellers in these candles. And if I have a red candle, it means I have more sellers than buyers in the candle. And just keep it super simple. All right. So triple screen assessment of order flow is order flow going in the same direction on 3 time frames. And I just wanted to throw a screenshot of what our charts look like, so you understand, you know, what the whole product is. And, you know, it's very clean. It's very easy to interpret. There's no, well, you know, it might be the indicator's going to 80, but it's at 78 and da 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 da. Yeah, we don't do that. Our indicators are represented by these colored lines. So when you have all green, means that you have a good entry to go long as you follow the rules, which we haven't gotten into. So I just wanted to put this up here. All right, so triple screen assessment of momentum is the second powerful force that moves price. And as like I said, the triple screen assessment of the LIQUIDITY and our hybrid candles, the wicks in the candles. And I'll show you how we use the wicks in the candles. So again, triple screen assessment of modified LIQUIDITY means we are going in the same direction on 3 time frames. And I'm going to grab my pen real quick here. We are the only company, we developed the wicks inside of a Unorenco bar. So when you have a bar that closes and the next wick, the next candle opens from the previous close, goes up the bar size and closes, and so on, right? Those are momentum candles. But when you have this big pullback here, that's a pullback candle. And we use these pullback candles to our advantage. And I'll explain how a little bit further along in the webinar. Okay. Let me get my mouse here. All right. So the modified LIQUIDITY is we took all these indicators, we added them together, we developed an algorithm, and we developed the modified LIQUIDITY. Now, the modified LIQUIDITY does not show divergence like other oscillators. It shows a strength of trend. So the modified gear is represented by the bottom colored line. So when it's below 20, it turns red. When it crosses above and is sloping up, it'll be lime green. When it crosses above 80, it will be dark green. And when it crosses below and is sloping down, it will be orange. Ultimately, we want it to be pinned at 100 and at 0. And that's when we'll get our acceleration dots. So now we'll talk about the quant lines that uses our AI program. And that's the third most powerful force that moves price. So what our quant lines are doing is they're examining 28 market components, and they're examined by our AI system for correlation. So how many of you understand what correlation is? You can put your answers in the questions box. How many of you know what correlation is? Okay. Well, most people know what correlation is, but most people don't pay attention to it. But we do. Why? You know, if ES is going up, NQ, RTY, and YM, if all the indexes are going up all together, that's really powerful. Really powerful. But let's say NQ, RTY, and YM are going up and ES is going down. What do you think is going to happen to ES? ES is going to either turn around and start following the rest of the market, or it's going to just go sideways. Okay, so when you have all the markets correlated and going in the same direction, it's like the old saying, a rising tide floats all boats. Well, it's kind of the same in the market. You know, when energy and metals are going up together, that's powerful stuff. When indexes are going up together, that's powerful stuff. And we pay attention to that because it is so powerful and it's very important to us. So we decided that, you know what, 3 time frames is really not enough. We would rather have 4 time frames in agreement, because when you have choppy non-trending markets and you have 4 time frames that have to turn to be in agreement, means you have a trend, means you have a developing trend, you know, and we call this indicator the C2 indicator. And all it does is it adds another time frame. So we use multiples of 3. So 3 times 18, whatever that is, would be the C2 setting. All right, so the C2 on the chart is this stair-stepping line above the candles, green for going up and dark red for going down. So far, pretty simple. So let's put the whole thing together. The rules and the setups. So the first rule is a colored background, either green or dark pink. 3 time frames in agreement. That's what the colored background means. Now we want the C2 indicator, so we have 4 time frames in agreement. So we want that. Then we have 2 lines. We have a dot dash line and a solid line. We always want the dot dash line below the solid line going up and above going down. If you are running into resistance, for instance, in this example, a pivot, you must wait for 3/4 of the body of the candle to clear the pivot. And then you must wait for a pullback candle. And I'll explain to you a little bit further on in this webinar why we have to wait for the pullback candle. The quants, you have the short term on top, the long term on the bottom. So we want those in agreement, either red or green. The multiple time frame Laguerre, we want an agreement with the quants, either red or green. And the modified Laguerre, we want in agreement with everything else, okay? And we want it pinned at 100 or pinned at 0, so we get these acceleration dots. So that's the setup on this trade, and that's the result. Okay, 63 ticks on CL is $630 per contract. Now, this is what I tell everybody, is when you trade, and I have a few people in the room. I have Priscilla here, I have John here, I have Steve here, I have Arthur here. They're all in my room, and they're all writing in the questions box. Yep, exactly, Dave. You tell them that trading with the money flow tracker rules will keep you out of non-trending markets which those are the markets that usually leads to losses. Okay, and that's where most traders lose money. So it's okay not to trade every day. Your performance and your expectancy of your trading doesn't rely on one day. It relies on whatever, end of the week, the end of the month. I prefer to look at things at the end of the month. All right, that's when it matters. So if you don't have a setup today, then you don't take a trade. Then you live to trade another day. You preserved your capital to trade tomorrow. It's a business. You have to treat it like a business. Okay, I say like this. Let's say you open up a retail store and your store's open and you have rent and you have electric and you have employees and you have all the expenses of a traditional business. Okay, what expenses do we have? Data, maybe, you know, internet. We don't have a lot of expenses, so we don't need to trade every day to make money. Pick the days that the markets are trending and then tear it up that day. Just keep trading it that day. All right, so here's a trade that I took on CL. So the market broke the pivot. Let me get my pen here again real quick. The market broke this pivot. This pullback candle happened so fast I couldn't even place my order to sell on down close. Then I got this pullback candle. Right? I placed my order. I got filled. I took off one contract at 10 ticks. That's $100. I took the other contract off when the dot dash line changed color. We call it exit on line change from red to yellow. That was 55 ticks. All right. So this trade here was a $650 trade. Look at the time it started, 9:36. Look at the time it ended, 9:37. All right. So, you know, these are the trades that you wait for, the setups. So the money flow tracker gives you clear and exact entries, clear and exact exits, and you get all your targets pre-configured, tested by us in your ATMs. Anybody have any questions so far? I know Rory's been answering a ton of people's questions. We have like 110 people in this room here today, and he's been answering and helping out, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to teach you how I trade breakouts with the money flow tracker software, and I call it the pullback and go strategy. I was calling it the PB&G, but everybody thought it was peanut butter and jelly. Anyways, so I need my pen for this one. Okay, so this is the pullback and go strategy. The market's coming down. You're running into a pivot. The shaded area is higher time frame support. It breaks it, 3/4 of the candle. We get the pullback candle here. So as this candle is pulling back, about halfway or more, I will place my order, sell on down close. And why do I do this? Well, when the market is breaking out, it tends, most of the time, it will pull back and retest. Or it will go down, pull back, and go up, right? It will go up. So if this candle closes up, this order gets automatically canceled. And then we call that sidestepping a losing trade. Any questions on this? This is really important stuff. And honestly, today's trading, I think we sidestepped 4 trades that we would have been losing trades if we would have just got in, not waiting for the pullback candle. And yes, sometimes we do miss a winning trade because we don't get a pullback candle. And that's okay. That's okay. I would rather sidestep 4 losing trades and miss maybe 1 winning trade. All right. And this strategy, I've been trading this strategy for the last 4 years, and it saved me a ton of losing trades. Here's one on RTY. It broke the pivot, 3/4 of the candle. I placed the order, first profit target, second profit target. Here's another one on crude oil. Here's 2 of them on the Canadian dollar. All right. So that strategy has been a great strategy. And like I said, I don't mind if I don't get into a trade because I don't get a pullback candle, then so be it. That's my rules. When you break a pivot, you must wait for a pullback. So now let's talk about one of my favorite strategies, the Revo. It's the revolutions. It's called revolutions, but we call it Revo for short. Okay. So what does it do? Well, it took this trade here for 704 ticks. It took this trade here for 665. I'm saying 665 ticks. It took this trade here, which was total torture, but I stuck with the system and I let it do its thing for 1,016 ticks. Exit on line change. It took this trade here for 792 ticks. So let me pull up the strategy itself, because I can explain the strategy better on the strategy window than I do on a screenshot. So I'm going to click on here, Revo, REVO, STR means Revo strategy. I'm going to load my template. So who can tell me what the first rule was? What was the first rule? We just went over the rules. Somebody tell me the rule. Michael, I know you participate. You can't sidestep because you're empty. It puts ghost orders on you. Well, mine works very well, and everybody that is in the rooms works well. So if you have a problem, Edward, then you need to go and call Rory. Okay, so the first rule, no problem, Michael. The first rule is we want the bias in the C2, so we turn it on. Now, the strategy doesn't wait for a pullback candle, so I have it delayed by 1 bar. I want the whole bar to clear the pivot. The Laguerre, we want red or green. We turn it on. The modified multiple time frame green, we want red or green. We turn it on. Those are the rules. They either have to be red or green. These aren't as important. The 50-50, the 15, we want these all red or green. The 50, we want red or green. The MA diff. Now, I'll explain to you what the MA diff is in a little bit, but we don't trade the MA diff over 350, right? We want it to clear the pivots, the volume zones, which are the higher time frame support resistance. And we want the quants, both quants, red or green. Now, the first target is super important. Why? Because if you, let me grab my pen here, if you don't have at least 81 ticks to this resistance area, if there's not 81 ticks, it will not take the trade. It will wait till the candle breaks it and closes above it, and then it will take the trade. So it won't trade into support and resistance. If you have your first target, it will take the trade. If you don't have your first target, it won't take the trade. Okay. Now, let me get my mouse here. All right. Now, you can set this up to go on and off whenever time you want. It has built-in risk management. We have lots of people that trade this that have jobs, and they set it up like this. I told them, set it up for $1,000 profit and a $500 loss limit, or $300, or whatever you want to put in it. Okay. And they turn it on in the morning before they leave the house or whatever. And when they come home, either 3 things are going to happen. Either you're going to be in a profit, you're going to have your loss, right? Or it didn't take a trade that day. And we have a lot of people that have subscribed to the Money Flow Tracker just for this particular strategy. Just for this strategy. It will exit at the end of the day. It says exit on session close, 36:30, so it exits like 10 minutes before the session is closed. It trades a large bar size. So really, the MA diff. Now you want to know what the MA diff is. All right. If you look on the screen here, the MA diff is this number right here. $192. So what is it telling us? It's telling us how far away from the market is the 50 period moving average. When the 50 period moving, when it gets too far away from the 50, we expect a pullback within 2 or 3 candles. And I got to tell you, we usually get a pullback within 2 or 3 candles. So that's what the M8 diff is. Now, I have a recording of a trade that I took, and normally these trades move kind of slow, but this one, I hit my first profit target really fast. So I wanted to record this trade because I felt like this was going to be one of those really nice big trades. So look, we're up 145 ticks. Let me make this bigger here. We're up 173 ticks. We're up 325 ticks. We're up 330. We're up 467. Now, the MA diff number is 380, 392. So it's over the maximum MA diff of 350. So that's when I start moving my stop to capture as much as I can before we get the pullback. So we're up 492, we're up 503, and I see I'm keep moving it. We're 579, out plus 570. So first profit target, 2 micros. I trade more than 2, but let's say 2 micros. That's $80. And 570 ticks is $570 on 2 micros. So that's $100 and 570. That's $670 on this trade. And I didn't have to do anything. All I did was turn it on and let it do its thing. Today, I had a nice trade for about 100 and almost 200 ticks. Here's the trade. That's not the account. Where is the account? Oh, here it is. Okay, here's the trade that I got today. Missed this one because I was done trading in the afternoon. Otherwise, that would have been a great trade. Took this trade here. First profit target, and then closed it because the MA diff was too high. But this trade here, if I would have had it on in the afternoon, this trade here would have entered 1 tick below here and kept going down and exit on line change. 835 ticks. And it took from 12:45 to let's say 1:50, half an hour. No, it only works on NinjaTrader. Oh, the Project X, you mean like the Trade of 8 type deal? Yes, it does work on that, but it only works on NinjaTrader platform. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this. I mean, I love the Auto Trader. I tell you, I like it. So that's it. So here's the equity curve for 2021. Here's the equity curve for 2022. I lost all my data for 2023, but here was last year's. Just the we call it the MNQ swing trade, made last year $44,000. Just that one strategy made $44,000. Last year we did 120, I think $25,000 total. I don't want to really get too sidetracked here, but I just want to show you really quick. Last year's trades. I just showed you equity curve. Look, $121,000 last year trading with the Money Flow Tracker software. All right, let's keep going. I already showed you that. Why is that not going? All right, now let's talk about passing the evaluations. So I have 2 of my friends. My friend Steve works at a brokerage firm. My friend John is a floor trader. And my friend John, I asked him, I said, what do floor traders do? How do they trade? I said, he said, well, honestly, he said, they never worry about their profits. I said, what do you mean they don't worry about their profits? That's what we're here for. He says, they don't focus on their profits. They focus on their risk. That's why they're sometimes called risk managers. They're more concerned about how much you could lose on a trade than how much you could win on a trade. So why am I telling you this? So focusing on the process, don't focus on the carrot. Don't worry about your profits. All right. Your profits will take care of themselves. So I started doing this. I started just worrying about my risks. All right, I'm in this trade. I'm only risking this. Okay, fine. And, I kind of don't have to be stressed as much anymore. I'm worried about my account size. So if you focus on trading well, and what do I mean by this? Focus on your system, whether it's the money flow tracker, whether it's a moving average crossover, and whether you're trading the MACD or whatever it is. Okay. Focus on trading well. Let the profits will take care of themselves. Too many people, somebody comes into the room and says, David, I need to make like $300 a day. I said, well, that's not the way to look at it. I said, because first of all, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to say, I got to do enough trades to make 300 bucks. Okay. And what if you don't have any setups that day? What if the market's really choppy? Are you going to break the rules to make your 300 bucks? I said, you can't look at it that way. You have to look at the end of the week. What about if one week you made $3,000 and next week you made $1,500 and the following week you made $2,000? At the end of the month, did you reach your goal? That's the way to look at it, not on a day-to-day basis. You put too much pressure on yourself to make a number every day. The challenges or evaluations or whatever your company calls them are designed to make you fail because of the parameters they put in place, like how many trading days to pass. That one's not that big of a deal, but the trailing drawdown is, and that's the biggest problem most people have. So, if you think that you sign up for a 50K account with Apex or one of the other firms and you're trading 50K, you're not, okay? And I don't even think about, well, I've got 20 50K accounts, I'm trading $1 million or whatever it is, okay? I don't care about that. I care about my drawdown. Whether it's a PA account or an evaluation account, I care about my drawdown. So my process is I don't risk any more than 10% of my drawdown on any one trade. 10%. So that's 250. So on NQ, we use a 40-tick stop. So if you do the math, that's $200 per contract over my risk, way over my. So I have to trade 6 macros to keep within my risk parameters. And I keep consistent with that because, first of all, I'm at a 76% win rate, okay? And I have a profit factor of 2.59, right? So I don't really worry about it that much. But if you look at your risk reward versus your win rate, if you're a 1-to-1 trader, which means you're risking 10 to make 10, you better be at least 60% win rate to be profitable. Now, if you're a 2-to-1 trader, look how drastically it dropped. You could be wrong 6 out of 10 times and still make money. And if you're a 3-to-1 trader, you could be wrong 7 out of 10 trades and still make money. Most institutional traders or floor traders are 40% win rate. But they cut their, I hate this saying, but I have to say it, okay? They cut their losses short. If they're wrong, they're out. And they let their winners go for as much as they can. I didn't want to say cut your losses short and winners run, because that's like the old cliche everybody uses, So, if you look at this, it's huge. I mean, it really is. So rather than avoid risk, take intelligent risk, and that will give you that competitive edge. For instance, this little mouse, right? He wants that piece of cheese. He's going to get that piece of cheese. But what's his risk here? This mouse trap flopping over and hitting him in the head. So he took intelligent risk and he put on his helmet to absorb the blow. All right, that's intelligent risk. Not that I'm saying you guys are all mouses, but So I've gone through the whole software. I've explained every part of it. Now you have 2 choices. Your first choice, if you're profitable and you're consistent and you're happy with your trading, God bless you and keep doing what you're doing. But most of you are pretty unhappy and not as consistent. So if you take action today, okay, and join us, you know, we trade from 9:30 and we're usually done by 11. Okay. So you take the second option and subscribe to the Money Flow Tracker software. Okay. What are the benefits and the features? Well, I just showed you the rules. How many of you thought it was really easy to understand and easy to learn? Exactly. Super simple. KISS, that's what everybody's writing. It's perfect for beginners. If I would have had this when I first started trading futures, I would have saved myself a ton of money. It's perfect for any account size. I have people in the room that trade 3 or 4 micros, and they're super happy with doing that. And then I have one guy in the room, he trades 100 NQs at a time. 100. I don't think I could stomach that myself, but and then I have a couple people that trade 20. One guy trades 30. One guy trades 5. You know, it's all what you want it to do. And you can trade this on futures. You can use it for Forex. You can use it for stocks. You can trade stock options with the signals from it, and you can use it for cryptos. So this is what we're doing. For the first 10 traders that come aboard this evening, we have some powerful additional software. Like, you'll get the market scanners. This is my market scanner. I trade Unarenko bars. That's on minute charts, right? So if I look at this, I say, you know what? Nothing here. No colored backgrounds on any markets, nothing. But let's say CL, I trade a 2510 bar, and gold, I trade a 41020. Well, if this was green, I would just go look at the chart and see, do I have a setup? Do I have something? If I don't, then I ignore it and I wait and I wait. So you will get this as part of your package for $9.99 value. You will get that included. You'll get the NDT. Now, this is what we use. It's a strategy, but this is what we use to enter and exit our trades. All right, buying up close, selling down close. You'll get the masterclass series on pure Forex, futures, Forex, stocks, and options. I'll grab some water here. You'll get 1 month in my trade room. Now, our trade rooms were part of a study done by this Dr. Victor Allen. And in his study, he reviewed more than 225 trading websites and evaluated them using several factors, including transparency, proven track record, assisting traders, and educational materials and online support. And we came out on top, believe it or not. This was published in Traders World and Stock and Commodities magazine. So this is what we're doing. We're doing 50% off a quarterly subscription, 50% off an annual subscription, and 50% off a lifetime subscription. So it would be $19.97 for a lifetime, $11.97 for yearly, which is less than $100 a month, and $5.97 for quarterly. So if you want to sign up, in the chat of GoToWebinar, on the very bottom, there's a chat tab. And Mr. Rory didn't put in the link, so I will put it in. Let me go to the web page and we will put it in there. Okay, so let's go. Here we go, right line trading. Oh, he just put it in there. He just got it. All right, so doesn't matter. So the link is in there. You just click on it. It will open up the page for the Money Flow Tracker, right? It's got all my information here, all the testimonials. Just scroll down to the bottom and click on sign up. Sign up for an annual, right? You have to put the coupon code. I believe it was, what was the coupon code? I got to go back here. I forgot. Usually we save 50%. So I'm just copy and paste it. Okay. All right, so you put in the coupon code, click apply, and scroll down to the bottom, and you can see you'll get the Money Flow Tracker software, you'll get your white glove installation, you'll get the Revolutions Auto Trader, the NDT, the Masterclass, and 1 month in the trade room. Your 50% off ends up $11.97. And next year when you renew, you will pay the same exact price. We don't raise the price the next year because, you know, everybody does that, and we don't do that. You know, we keep the price the same. We're not going to raise the whole price for you just because, you know, you're making money with the software and you got to pay more. All right, you're going to pay the same thing you paid this year. So that's all you need to subscribe. So if you want to go and subscribe, that would be great. Appreciate it. And I'm going to keep on going on with my webinar. Okay. So here's my commitment to you is when you subscribe to the Money Flow Tracker software is to help you become a successful trader. Remember, if you're not successful, it's not your fault. Again, if you're not successful, it's not your fault. You're just not using the right tool to be successful. And a kind of analogy I use all the time, and because everybody can understand it, it's like taking a nail and trying to put it into a piece of wood with a screwdriver. Yeah, if you sat there long enough, you'd probably get it in that piece of wood. But if you use the right tool, you 3 strikes with the hammer and you're done. You know, and trading with institutional order flow is huge, important. You know, that makes the biggest difference right there. So again, the Money Flow Tracker software is totally unique and will give you that edge to trade with institutional order flow. So again, my commitment to you is not to just teach you how to read the setups. The setups are so easy to read. I could teach a 5-year-old to read the setups, but it's to help you develop that mental mindset you must have in order to achieve financial independence. You know, what kind of skill do you really need as far as trading? Okay, 1 finger to push the button. I mean, that's it. That's your whole physical skill. It's all in your head. It's what's between your ears that hold most people back. So if you would like to speak with us, all right, and you have a question, if you put your name and your phone number in the questions box, either myself or Rory will give you a call after the webinar. And you can ask as many questions as you want. You can do your purchase over the phone. And Rory just told me that anybody puts their name and their phone number in will be guaranteed, even if we go over 10 sales, to get all the extra bonuses. All right. So it's a well-known fact that 95 to 98% of day traders and swing traders are losing money. Retail traders. This guy is a retail trader. All he's doing is losing money. He just might as well flush it down the toilet, right? What? And if you already know that most retail traders lose, why would you even consider trading along with them, right? But not our traders. Our traders are making money. Because when a retail trader is losing money, you know, for every buyer, there has to be a seller, right? So for every retail trader that's losing money, who's taking that money from them? The institutions. You know, my friend Steve works for a brokerage firm. He says to me, he told me, he says, you know, the guppies were great today. I said, what do you mean the guppies, Steve? I said, what do guppies have to do with anything? He says, well, that's what we call retail traders. He says, when they open a $5,000 or $10,000 account, he says, we know within a few weeks or a month or maybe 2 that money's going to be gone. That money's going to be gone. But our traders are trading with the institutional money flow. So we're just following their backs, and they are the ones that move the market, not the retail traders. The retail traders that trade onesies and twosies aren't moving the market. All right. So again, this is a huge discount. We're doing 50% off annual, quarterly, and lifetime. All right. I mean, I paid more than this when I bought it 4 years ago. So, you know, if you can do this, I would suggest you make yourself a promise that and write it down on a piece of paper, because if you don't write it down, it doesn't mean squat. And just say to yourself, I am going to be 110% committed to this system. And this is going to be my system. And this is the system I'm going to trade. Okay? and just be committed to it and don't look at anything else. I get a ton of emails from all different companies with all these systems and methodologies. You know what I do? Unsubscribe, 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 unsubscribe. Oh, did I tell you I just unsubscribed? Let's see. Rod, yeah, Rory will give you a call. Rod, do you have the software? All right. I just unsubscribe because I don't want to pollute my mind with anything except what I'm doing. This software has been great to me for the last 4.5 years, and it will continue on being good to me. And like I said earlier, the thing that I love about it the most, honestly, is it keeps me out of choppy, non-trending, crappy, low volume markets. Right? So this is a reel of a bunch of our traders giving testimonials for us and all this other stuff. But this one particular woman, she wanted to learn how to trade. One of her friends is in my training room, and she asked him to teach her, and he didn't want to because he didn't want to feel responsible if she lost money. So he said, why don't you contact Mark? I'm sure Mark will help you. So she did. And like she says here, Redline provided me with all the charts and the software I wanted, and Mark taught me things. So he sat her down in front of the computer, and he said, taught her the setup. And he said, when you have a green background, and everything's lined up, he says, I want you to click on buy on up close. And when you have a dark pink background and everything's lined up, I want you to click on sell on down close. And she did that for 4 months, sat there in his office and did that for 4 months. Well, to make a long story short, a year and a half later, no, maybe 2 years later, she started building her accounts. Now she's a 6-figure trader. And I talked to her and I asked her, do you trade every day? And her answer is that if I don't have a setup, I don't take a trade, period. That's it. I said, so if you don't have a setup for that day, she says, I don't take a trade, period. And I said, good, because that's what we do. All right, so let's keep going. Here's a testimonial from Barry. He's been trading 25 years, and he can honestly say the money flow system is one of the smartest tools I've added to my toolbox. The layout of a single chart gives me everything I need at a glance. And that's one thing that I fell in love with the software too, is because I could take this chart of MNQ and I can open it up and I can go here and I can look at this one chart and know I have 3 time frames in agreement. I have a trend, 4 time frames in agreement. I have a trend. I see my support and resistance and my higher time frame support and resistance on one chart. I hate having to look at 3 charts to determine what is the support and resistance on a 1 hour, what's it on a 15-minute, what's it on, it's just too much information, too many charts in front of me. I look at one chart and I get all the information I need off of one chart. This was a email written to Rightline. Now, this is from a guy named David P. And he was in the webinar just like you. And he wrote me in the questions box. This is the weirdest one. I am the world's worst trader. I've been doing this a long time. I'm thinking about quitting, but I really like what you're showing me. And if I purchase, will you help me? So I said, of course. So to make a long story short, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm just going to read it. I started watching David's room every morning, learning his method, and importantly, his rules for trading. We only take specific setups. When we follow the rules, we have about a 70% win rate, around 7% success rate. I have 7 accounts at Apex and 7 accounts at Buellnox. Well, now he has 20 accounts at Apex, 10 accounts at Buellnox, and accounts at a bunch of other firms. I don't know. Anyways, then he goes along and says the money flow chart software, along with David's methodology rules, allow me to act like a robot and eliminate any guesswork or emotions from my trading. We also use the trade entry code called the NDT, which allows a single push button to enter a trade when we see the correct setup. So he looks at it every day as simple. If he sees a setup, push the button, see the setup, push the button, sees it up, push the button. A couple of weeks ago, he sent me a message in the questions box from the room. He said $4,265, only traded 4 accounts that day. I could ring the bell. And he left the room. He was done for the day. Look at 9:36, an hour and 6 minutes he traded and made $4,265. Incredible. So again, we're doing 50% off a quarterly at $597, 50% off the annually at $1197, and 50% off the lifetime at $1997. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, oh, hold on a second. Rory's sending me a message. He says, I want you to welcome Moshi, Manish, Jacob, Mike, Stephanie. Welcome to the Money Flow Tracker software. I look forward to working with you in the room. You guys made a great decision. You won't be sorry that you subscribed. I wasn't sorry, and I've been trading with it for 4.5 years. So how many of you can say you've been trading the same system for 4.5 years? Probably none, right? So again, Rory said, if you put your name and your phone number in the questions box, if you have any questions, ask us, and you will guarantee all the extra bonuses. Okay, and that's it. That's all I got. Any more questions? I wanted to keep it to an hour, and I was just about an hour. So anybody have any questions? All right, anybody want to put their name or phone number in the questions box? All right, well, that's all I got this evening. I want to thank everybody for attending. I look forward to working with all the people that already subscribed and purchased. I don't know what they purchased, if they did a lifetime or whatever. All right, Chris, cool. Yeah, Rory will give you a call right after the webinar. You know, all I can tell you, like I said earlier numerous times, is I've been trading with this software for 4.5 years. And here is my record to prove that it works. Okay, this is my trade journal. These are all the trades I've done. I've got 70 pages here of trades, you know, 70 pages, you know, and, you know, I can show you here, let's see, where is it? Performance by day. All right, so this only goes back 6 months, right? So look how many winning days we have, and look how many losing days we have had. And we try to keep the losing days under 500. So if I'm down 500, I'm not trading live anymore for the day, right? Look at this day, $3,992. Look at this day, $2,691. I would say our average day is probably about $800 to $1,200 a day, the average day. But then you have a couple of days like this, another day here, this was $1,800, you know, it all adds up. Our biggest losing day was $420. Our biggest winning day was $3,992. Average winning trade, $650. Average losing trade, $255. And that's why my my profit factor is so high, up 2.58. Okay, so I'm going to end the webinar now because I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours, but you don't want to hear me for hours and hours and hours, only because I'm very passionate about what I do, and I love teaching people how to trade. So again, thank you for attending. Have a great night. If you go to the website anytime, if you decide in the morning you want to purchase, just use the coupon code. It's on the web page. Save 50%, whatever it was. So have a great evening, morning, afternoon, and good night. Good morning, good afternoon. All right, take care, and God bless everybody.